This Saturday, UFC Rio Oliveira versus Gamrot takes place, and I'm going to be breaking down the whole card, bottom to top, giving you my full predictions and your best bets on each fight. And if you guys want to take exactly what I'm taking on this card, you guys can join our Discord down below and get my full bets for the whole card. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Kicking off the card, we got Luan Lacerda taking on Simon Oliveira. Luan Lacerda making his debut at 12-3 against Simon Oliveira's 18-6. Luan Lacerda is going to be coming into this fight with a high submission game plan. He's got a lot of subs on his record. He's probably going to be looking to take Simon Oliveira down, control him, and maybe he'll hunt for a submission. But Simon Oliveira himself has a lot of submissions, and I think that he's going to be able to negate a lot of Lacerda's pressure on the ground. And so I could see this fight being a boring decision for Lacerda. But honestly, at his price right now at like -280, -300, I would just stay away because it's a debuter who's going to be utilizing a similar game plan to what Simon Oliveira is going to be doing. So this is a skip for me.
Yeah, two guys with submission upside here. I think they kind of cancel each other out on the ground. I think Lucerda can get the takedowns, hold him down. Oliveira will be active on the bottom, throwing up subs. Lucerda's pretty solid on the ground, though. I think he grinds a decision out here. -280 is not worth it, in my opinion. I won't have any action on this fight, but I will lean Luan to win a close decision here.
Next up, we got Yulia Pilastri taking on Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Yulia Pilastri coming into this fight at a -450 favorite, which is kind of crazy to me because Karolina actually still has it. And I think she could probably edge out a decision here. Yulia Pilastri going to be probably looking to wrestle because we have seen Karolina been taken down in her last couple fights. And unfortunately, she's been held there and suffered a couple bad losses. But I mean, at 39, I think she's still got it. I mean, we've seen a lot of other women near like 40. I mean, Angela Hill's still kicking. And so I think Carolina, if this fight goes to a decision, could make it competitive enough and steal some rounds.
Yeah, I really don't understand the line here. I think it's totally just banking in age. Carolina has pretty decent stand-up. She's shown some competence on the ground. Yeah, she's susceptible to being taken down here and there. But I mean, Yulia Pilastri hasn't shown me anything in the sense of a dominant ground game. She had a submission win on her Contender Series debut. But since then, she's been unanimous decision loss, split decision win against Corey McKenna, and then a unanimous decision loss to Lupe Godinez, who was a good fighter. But give me Carolina. She's got the experience here. The age is a problem. She is 39, but didn't look too bad in her last fight. Like I said, she's got good stand-up. She's competent on the ground. I don't think Pilastri is a crazy good wrestler. Could she get takedowns? Sure. But at this price, I can't back Pilastri. I'm going to take a shot here on Carolina as the big-time dog to get the upset. All right, next fight on the card is going to be Walter Walker against Muhammad Usman. Walter is coming in at around -330, and I will eat the chalk on him. I don't see him losing to Muhammad Usman, who's just not very good. Walker's been talking about showcasing his stand-up in interviews recently. Usman would be the guy to do it on. He's slow on the feet. He did not look good against Hamdi, just kind of out-cardioed him, got kind of beat up in the first round. But I think that's smoke and mirrors from Walker. I think he's going to utilize his grappling and find the finish here. I wouldn't be shocked. We've seen Usman shoot takedowns in kind of rough situations. In his past fights, he's not really getting takedowns. He was 0 for 4 against Hamdi. But I could see him shooting a bad takedown and Walker snatching the neck. So give me Walker here. He's just got too much grappling upside in this one. He's longer. He's not longer. He's taller by good 4 inches here. So he's got the height advantage. Usman has long arms. The reach is about identical. But give me Walker. I just think he out grapples Usman here and finds the finish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I mean, I'm gonna lay the chalk on Walker too. I like the -110 on his inside the distance prop.
Yeah.
Him coming out on his social media does kind of scare me, saying that he's gonna showcase his striking a bit, because we did see him lose a very weird debut against Lucas Bresky. But I think even then, Lucas Bresky's probably more game of an opponent than Muhammad Usman. I think Usman's a crazy step down from Kennedy and Nzechukwu. I mean, Usman might have a little better grappling than Kennedy, but I mean, Walter's going to use his size in this matchup. Probably utilize some striking early, force Usman to shoot, or if he doesn't, maybe Walter will push Usman up against the cage, roll for a heel, and get that 4 in a row, which that would be nuts. But Yeah, I'm going to lean Walker definitely inside the distance for this one. Moving up the card, we got Lucas Roca taking on Stuart Nickel in the flyweight division. We got Roca with a crazy 17-2 record against Stuart Nickel's 8-1. Stuart Nickel coming off the round one sub to Jesus Aguilar, where he was arguably winning the round until he shot that poor takedown, got reversed after a while, and then ultimately fell to the guillotine. In this matchup, I think he's going to use his wrestling and try to negate Roca's offensive pressure, because we've seen Roca in all of his past fights. This guy's just a wild striker, and he's just moving forward, just throwing bombs. And I think if Stuart Nickel comes in with the right game plan and he stays composed, he can time these bombs and shoot a takedown, get Roca down, hold him there, maybe look for a submission or some ground and pound. But I'm going to take the dog shot on Stuart Nickel at plus 101 here.
Yeah, this is a close fight, and the line dictates that and shows that Stuart Nickel definitely going to be the better wrestler here. Lucas Rocha is wild on the feet, flying knees, spins, throws absolute haymakers, which isn't always great against a guy that is going to implement a wrestling first game plan because he's going to leave himself open to some easy takedowns. I got to lean Stewie Nicks here, man. I do. I got to take Nickel on the dog shot just based on the wrestling. I think Rocha will put himself in some bad situations, overthrowing strikes, and allow Nickel to get the takedowns. I think Nickel's going to squeak out some rounds just with his grappling. Rocha will have his moments probably. Like I said, he's a wild, explosive guy. But I got to lean the guy who's probably going to implement a grappling-heavy game plan here to get takedowns on a guy who's going to be open by overthrowing his strikes. Only way I see Rocha winning this fight is if he catches Nickel and puts him out. So I'm going to lean Nickel here as the slight dog. All right, next fight in the women's bantamweight division, we got Bia Mesquita, the highly decorated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, against Irana Alskiva. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to lay the chalk here on Mesquita. I think she wins the fight, but watching some tape on her, she fought a boxer named Chanel Butler and ate some shots in that fight before she ultimately did get the takedown and get the submission. Irina Alskiva has shown that she is tough. She's taller here, 5'8", 5'6". She's definitely going to be prepped and ready for the takedown. I think Bia ultimately gets the takedown and probably does get a submission, but she's proven to me that she is very hittable in her fights, so she's going to get hit, and her game plan is not a secret. She wants to utilize that jiu-jitsu. So I'll take Bia, probably inside the distance. I think that's what, minus 110-ish. Probably take that here. I'm not laying her money line at minus 550. That's absurd. But I will probably take the inside the distance prep. I think she snatches a submission up here or just outworks her on the ground and maybe even gets ground and pound. But I think she finishes this fight.
Yeah, I mean, at negative 500 for a debut is just crazy. I mean, I get she's highly decorated, but I don't know. Even negative 130 on the sub just doesn't entice me too much. I mean, we've seen Alexieva in her past fights just shown kind of a lower level version of Sam Hughes' dogness. And I do think she ultimately does get taken down. But for negative 130 in a women's fight, I don't know if I'm going to mess with it too much. I mean, we did see Bia on her film get cracked. And I don't know, Irina could be game for the first couple minutes before she gets taken down. So I'm going to have to skip this one, but I'll lean Mosquito. Next up, we got Vitor Petrino and Thomas Peterson in the men's heavyweight division. Petrino just moving up to heavyweight. This is, I believe, his second fight in heavyweight. Utilizing his grappling more, kind of realizing that he can just come up to heavyweight and grapple against some bums, some fat bums, and find a lot of success. I mean, he's even faster on the feet than most of these guys. And I think this is another layup of a matchup for him and Thomas Peterson. I mean, Thomas the Train is live on the feet. He throws haymakers, but I think with Vitor Petrino coming up from light heavyweight, he's just going to have the better footwork. He's definitely going to have the grappling upside, and I think Petrino can probably get this fight done any way he wants, but he has shown some fraudulent tendencies in the past. So I don't know if I'm going to touch too much on this fight, but I'll lean Petrino.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas the Train has showed some cardio in his past performances. Petrino is a fraud. He's shown he's a fraud. Anthony Smith with the guillotine, Dustin Jacoby KO'd him. But there's nothing special from Thomas Peterson. Even in his last fight against Dontel Mays, couldn't find the finish, and Mays is probably not a UFC level fighter. He got KO'd by Shamil Gaziev early in the first because he was a pretty solid heavyweight. Beat Muhammad Usman in a decision where he kind of just outworked him, outgrappled him. He had the loss to Jamal Pogues where he just got kind of his head boxed off. Petrino has one fight at heavyweight. He did what he had to do against Austin Lane, just took him down, subbed him. I think he has the advantage here physically for sure against Peterson. The only way I see him losing this fight is if he gasses, because I will say I've seen Peterson show good cardio in almost all of his contests. So I'm leaning Petrino. I think he can get this fight finished somehow. I think he probably gets it done on the ground. But the longer this fight drags on, the more alive Thomas Peterson becomes. So I'll lean Petrino. Don't know if I'll have any tickets placed on it, but I think he does find a way to get it done.
Next up in the men's flyweight division, we got Jafel Filho taking on Clayton Carpenter. This is probably the sneakiest, greatest fight of the night outside of, Charles Oliveira and Gamrot. But I love this fight, and I love Clayton Carpenter in it. I think this is a great matchup for him, especially coming off that close fight to Tagir Ulanbekov in his last outing. He got 30-27 in that fight, but he showed a lot of heart, and I think it should have been a 29-28. And with round two, Tagir made that infraction where he was pulling on his shorts in order to sweep him. And if he didn't sweep him with pulling his shorts, he most likely would have been on the ground for the remainder of that round. He was already on the ground for like a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and then, he was pulling shorts. Then he gets back up, and then, he wins the rest of the round, wins round three. So good on Tagir there. But Clayton Carpenter showed me a lot of skills, a lot of different abilities in his skill set in that fight. And I think here in this fight against Filho, he's going to be the better striker on the feet, and he's got very solid offensive wrestling. And if he gets you down, he's very good in almost every position. His submission defense is high level. His top control is great. I love the control, and I hate to sound like I'm super keen on Clayton Carpenter, but I am. I'm gonna have to take Clayton in this fight. I think this is gonna show Clayton Carpenter is more than just an unranked flyweight.
Yeah, I think I like Carpenter here as well. He's fought pretty good comp. He's got the rear naked choke over Lucas Rosso, who's fighting here early on the card, who is similar style to Rafael Filo. Rafael Filo's explosive, but he does one thing that I don't like. And when he's on bottom, he throws up submissions instead of trying to get back to his feet. And with a guy like Carpenter, who again looked good against Tagir, did get takedown in that fight. I think he can get Filo down and avoid the submission threat. And like I said, Filo kind of accepts that bottom position too much and relies too much on the ability to submit his opponent. So I think Carpenter can avoid those subs and bag rounds just with top control alone. So I'm going to go Clayton Carpenter here. I think this is going to be a really good fight, though.
Also to add something to this fight, Jafel Filho is a pretty explosive round one guy. We saw him against Alan Nascimento, had a pretty good round one. He definitely took that on my scorecards. But then in round two, he got taken down, gassed out bad, threw up a triangle or something off of his back, but he didn't get it. I mean, it was close. But then, Nascimento banked that round, and then the same thing happened in round three. And I think in this fight, Jafel Filho is going to be looking pretty live round one against Clayton Carpenter. But Clayton Carpenter is a pretty composed fighter. And I think if he weathers that round one, gets a takedown, or even just can keep it on the feet and not get hit with some bombs from Filho, then I think this is Clayton Carpenter's fight all day.
Next fight up, we got Lucas Almeida versus Michael Aswell. It's a tough fight here. I think Lucas Almeida is just leagues above Aswell when it comes to the striking department. Aswell is really just kind of going to press forward into Almeida and try to gas him out. And I just don't think he's got the skill on the feet to really cause problems with Almeida. Almeida has shown pretty decent takedown defense. Had a war on the Contender Series with Daniel Zellhuber where he was tagging Zellhuber up in the first round. Did get a little gassed, but didn't really lose pressure in that fight. He was still pressing forward, still looking for the finish, still defending takedowns. Zellhuber just kind of picked him apart because he's also a very long, rangy striker, and he started using Almeida's pressure against him. In this fight, I think Aswell is going to be the one that's pressing forward, and I think he's going to run into some heavy shots from Almeida. And Aswell's a tough guy. He's got a good chin, but Almeida's going to be throwing some heat. I think he can find the finish on the feet here. Give me Almeida, just a much better striker than Aswell here. If he can handle the pressure well, I think he wins this fight.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. And it's kind of crazy to me that Lucas Almeida is coming in at a plus 125 underdog. I mean, we've taken a couple underdogs already, but I'm gonna have to take another one here because Michael Aswell just hasn't really impressed me. I mean, Lucas Almeida hasn't impressed me that much either, but he's shown me a lot better skill set on film. Michael Aswell coming back to featherweight in this fight. He took that short notice against Balagioki at lightweight, so he'll be back in his native weight class here. But I think Lucas Almeida has him outmatched pretty much everywhere, unless Aswell comes in with like a super high wrestling game plan and he gets Almeida down and just keeps him there. I don't really see Aswell having much success on the feet, and I think Lucas Almeida is probably going to dictate the pace of this fight over 3 rounds. So give me Lucas Almeida at plus 125.
Yeah, just another like tidbit for that fight. I mean, Lucas Almeida lost a split to Danny Silva. Danny Silva's a better fighter than Michael Aswell here. He presses
100%.
forward. Just much better striker. And again, that was a very close fight between Almeida and Silva. I think Almeida can find it here and get Aswell out of there, or just pick him apart.
Moving up the card, we got Ricardo Ramos taking on Khan Ofli. I'm gonna have to go with Ricardo Ramos in this fight. I've never been a big Khan Ofli guy. He's super lackluster on the feet, very low volume, decent wrestling, but he's not coming in here just looking to shoot blast doubles. And half the time he's in the ring, he doesn't really know what he wants to do. Ricardo Ramos, pretty seasoned UFC vet at this point, fought a lot better competition than Khan Ofli's ever seen. And Ricardo Ramos does have some pretty crafty striking. So I think he's going to lean on that. And I think if this fight does hit the mat, both of their grappling pedigrees kind of negate each other. So I'm going to have to go with Ricardo Ramos, probably by a decision here, but I wouldn't be surprised if, we see some flash KO because Khan Ofli is UFC level, but he is bare UFC level.
Yeah, I like Ramos here. I'll lay the chalk. Minus 175, I think the line is right now. He's just been in there with such higher level competition than Con Oakley. I mean, he's got a win over Bill Algeo. He fought Lerone Murphy, fought Julian Erosa, fought Charles Jourdain. Last time out, decision to Chepe Mariscal, who is a nightmare fight for a lot of people in this division, and it was a pretty decent fight. Ramos also going to have a big reach advantage, 6-inch reach advantage. I think he's the much better striker, much more polished, mixes it up with the kicks and the punches. He has submission ability on the bottoms, got 7 submission wins in his career. Ofley's never been subbed, but I just don't think there's a path here for Ofley unless he really dives into his wrestling and can control Ramos. I just don't see that happening. Huge reach advantage. Like I said, I think Ramos stays on the outside, picks him apart, and just cruises here and wins the fight. All right, next up, we got a heavyweight matchup, an underrated fight here. I actually really like this fight here in the heavyweight division. You got Mario Pinto, the undefeated prospect, against Jonta Denise. This is a good fight, and I'm going to lean Pinto here as the underdog. Neither one of these guys has fought high-level competition. I just think Pinto has better hands here, and I think he finds the shot on Denise. Denise is a good kickboxer, but he hasn't been crazy impressive. I mean, he's got a win over Alvin Haynes, which I thought he should have easily finished that fight. Lost to Tabora. It was a doctor stoppage. Then he beat Carl Williams and Austin Lane, who Austin Lane really isn't UFC level at this point. Pinto in his debut battled some adversity, fought Austin Lane, who again we just talked about. I don't think he's really UFC level. Very athletic guy, but Pinto ate a shot, withstood that storm, and then came out and sparked him in round 2. Did what he had to do in his debut on the Contender Series as well. Sparked Lucas Camacho in the first round, and he's got really good hands and good timing. He's an athletic heavyweight. I think he can get it done here. I think he's got better boxing than Denise. Denise will be the more kick heavy guy, but I think Pinto finds the shot with the hands and gets the win here as a plus 110, I believe, dog.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I mean, this is a great heavyweight fight. Two prospects banging it out in a stand-up fight mostly. Could we see some takedowns getting mixed in from either side? Maybe. But I'm gonna have to lean Pinto as well because I've seen Pinto on a lot of his film just go in against some high-level competition, not really care the first round, go bang for bang with him, and then in the second round he just starts trying and then just turns the off switch. And I mean, that's exactly what he did against Austin Lane. That first round, I thought Pinto was going to smoke Austin Lane, but he was just kind of feeling him out on the feet. Let Austin throw a couple shots on him. One of them dropped him, and then I think in the second round he was kind of like, "All right, let me get this fight finished." And within the first like 30 seconds, The first exchange, Mario dropped him and then finished him. I think he colded him actually. He put him out cold. Uh, so I mean, Denise is going to be heavy kicking here, heavy kickboxer. Going to be moving forward. Pinto's a great counter striker who's also been 5 rounds on multiple occasions. Is cardio tested, got great cardio. So I'm probably going to have to lean Pinto here to find a good counter. And I think he's going to put Denise down and finish him. And it's pretty wild to me that Pinto by KO is coming in at plus 225 and the round one is plus 525. I think there's some crazy value on the round one either way, no matter which side you lean in this fight. But I'm going to have to go Pinto.
Yeah, I mean, both these heavyweights have shown the ability to go 3 rounds, so I think this is going to be a good fight. But like you said, I think Pinto finds the shot here. And we've seen Denise get finished in his kickboxing career. He's been doctor stoppage a few times, corner stoppage a few times. He got head kick KO'd before, so he's been put out. Haven't seen Pinto get finished yet. He's undefeated. He showed a chin against Laney, ate a clean shot, bounced back to find the KO here. So I like Pinto here. Yeah, definitely like Pinto here. Next fight, we got Vicente Luque versus Joel Alvarez. I got to go with the young, hungry guy here in Alvarez. Everybody loves Vicente Luque. He's just shown signs of losing his chin a little bit. I mean, the guy used to be the Terminator, used to be able to take an absolute beating. And just lately, he's been showing signs of a little wear on that chin and wear on his style here. The way I think he could find this fight is by that Darce choke that he's gotten quite a few guys in. But I just think Joel Alvarez kind of sparks him up on the feet here. Alvarez has finished, I think, every single one of his UFC wins. He's got great striking. He's got a reach advantage here. He's athletic. He's explosive. And Luque, throughout his career, really isn't an athletic guy. He more of is a fighter that is tough, absorbs a lot of damage, but has been able to withstand that damage and then find finishes late or just outwill people. And lately, saw it against Buckley, saw it against Holland. He just hasn't really been the fighter he was back then. So I think Alvarez wins here. Minus 550 is wild. I wouldn't play that line. I think I would probably play Alvarez ITD here, depending on what that number is. But yeah, I don't see Luque winning this fight unless he snatches up a choke somehow.
Yeah, I mean, Vicente Luque coming in at this fight at plus 400. I mean, I do understand why some people are going to take the dog shot on him, always live for that Darce. But I mean, Joel Alvarez finished every fight. I think he's just going to wear on Luque even more. I mean, Luque has shown that he's kind of showing some washed allegations. And I mean, I think this is a pretty tailor-made matchup for Joel Alvarez in his welterweight debut. I think a finish here over Luque would put him right up in ranked contention. He'd probably get a ranked opponent next. And this is the weight class that Joel Alvarez has always wanted to fight at. And I mean, if we saw him sparking dudes in lightweight, like we might see a new potential tapped into here for Joel Alvarez. So I mean, at negative 550 now, I wouldn't take it. But we do have a play on Joel Alvarez, and the VIPs at negative 350 for his money line. We got it early. Public's on it now, so I would stay away from this fight unless you're gonna take some sort of method shot or a round prop on it. But give me Joel Alvarez.
All right, next up we got a bantamweight bout against Montel Jackson and Davidson Figueiredo. Montel Jackson's coming in as a pretty big favorite here at minus 300, and he has a significant size advantage, 5'10" to 5'5", with a staggering 7.5-inch reach advantage. This is a tough fight. I like Jackson because of the size and what I saw from him against Daniel Marcos, who's really a grind out a decision kind of guy. Daniel Marcos mixes in the grappling and the striking very well. He's not elite really at anything. He just has great gas and is going to make you fight for 3 rounds. And Jackson answered the bell there and got the win by decision. I think he's going to have to do something similar here unless he puts Figueiredo out. He's got a lot of finishes. He put out Rennie Aya. He sparked Damon Blackshear in 18 seconds, which might have been kind of fluky. I would probably back Figgy if he wasn't coming off of the knee injury, and he's 37 years old. I think Figgy can win this fight if he really relies on his grappling and presses Montrell and shoots a lot of takedowns. That's his path to victory for me, and I wouldn't be shocked to see if I see that. I'm gonna lean Jackson. I don't know if I'll have him on any tickets. He's the much younger guy. Again, Figgy coming off a knee injury. I don't know, how well he's recovered at 37 years old and what he looks like coming off of that knee injury. And again, the reach advantage is startling here. He's going to have to cover a ton of distance just to get in on that shot. So I like Montel Jackson here, and I think the public is going to be very heavy on Figgy, and Montel should win this fight.
Yeah, man, this is a weird one. I mean, Figgy coming at a pretty crazy dog price. Montel Jackson with an even crazier size advantage, like you were saying. I'm probably just gonna have to stay away from this one. I mean, I'll lean Montel, but I don't know. I have a weird read on this fight. I mean, Figgy coming off that crazy knee injury to Corey Sandhagen was just 5 months ago. He's 39 now. And this is probably the last UFC Brazil card that he's going to be able to fight on. So part of me thinks that, when he saw this card coming around when he was in recovery, he was like, "Oh, well, I need to get on that card." And I mean, could he be calling it too soon or could he be completely fine? I'm not sure. Um, but with the size advantage, I just think there's a lot riding against Figgy here, and I really think his only path to victory is closing the distance and doing some prime Figgy shit that we were seeing 5, 6 years ago in flyweight. Um, but I don't know. I'm probably gonna have to go Jackson here. I don't think Jackson will put him out. I mean, we saw Figueiredo getting pieced up by Piotr Jan for 5 rounds. So I don't think Jackson will really be a knockout threat, but he is way longer. So I mean, this is a very weird matchup for me. So I'm gonna have to go Montel, but I don't know if I'll have any action on this one.
Yeah, I mean, Figgy has only two TKO losses in his entire career, and I don't know when that last one was. It's had to be maybe the doctor stoppage against, was that Moreno? Um, yeah, the Brandon Moreno doctor stoppage. So he's got a chin, still showing a chin. Um, but yeah, I think Montel just again coming off the knee injury. I don't know what to think about Figgy, but at 37 years old, I don't know how quick he can recover. So
Oh,
give
he's
me Montel and
37.
Figgy's fight back. 37, yeah, 37 years old.
Interesting. Well, I mean, still, yeah, that's I don't
Still
know.
old, still a lot of miles on that engine. Montel is the younger guy, the up and comer. Montel's not young. He's 33, but a lot less miles on the tank for him as compared to Figgy.
And for the main event, we got Charles do Bronx Oliveira taking on Mateusz Gamrot. Very, very good fight, in my opinion. I do think Mateusz Gamrot is a very good opponent for Charles Oliveira, coming off the Chandler fight and the Sarukian loss. But I don't know. I do think this is tricky for Charles Oliveira. I know the whole public is going to be riding for him solely because they love Charles and also because they hate Gamrot. But I mean, I think I'm gonna have to side with Gamrot here. Um, if it stays on the feet, I don't think Charles is that much of a threat on the feet. Gamrot's also been training with Dustin Poirier for the last couple years, I think now. And so, I mean, we've seen in his fights that his striking's leveling up. In his fight with Dan Hooker, he was going blow for blow with Dan Hooker on the feet, then mixing in his grappling and his chain wrestling. And I think in this fight, he's going to show some decent striking, but ultimately use that to get into his chain wrestling and take Charles down. And I think that's where most of this fight plays out is Charles trying to throw up a submission off of his back. But we've seen Gamrot in there against guys like Armin, who just beat Charles Oliveira. I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to side with Gamrot here. I mean, as long as he doesn't fall victim to some filthy triangle from Charles Oliveira or something, I think he's probably gonna win a decision here. And it's also a very weird look that Charles is making such a quick comeback to this Brazil card. Just like what, 3, 4 months after getting brutally chinned by Taporia. So I mean, I get it's in his home country, but it's gonna be a hard matchup for Charles here.
Yeah, this is a very tough fight because Gamrot has a specific game plan, and he's got some amazing wins. I mean, he's got a win over Arman Saryukin. Then he followed that up with a loss to Bernil Dariush. But then he's had some crazy close fights, like a split decision to Jalen Turner. Charles is a much better fighter than Jalen Turner. Unanimous decision against Dos Anjos, who's a very old. That's a very old Rafael Dos Anjos, and he lost a split to Dan Hooker. And Dan Hooker, yeah, great striker, big tall guy, but does not have the grappling chops for Oliveira. So this one's a weird fight for me, and it being 5 rounds, I think favors Charles here. Um, Gamrot, again, great cardio, but he doesn't really have the finishing ability. Charles does, and over 5 rounds, you're giving Charles a lot of opportunity to find a sub. Charles definitely going to have the striking advantage here, and we saw in his fight with Arman. I mean, if that went to round 4, who knows? Because Charles came on strong in the third, caught him in that head and arm choke, and if there was 10, 15 seconds left on the clock, maybe he gets it. Maybe he gets it in round 4. Who knows what happens if that fight goes 2 more rounds. So I'm really torn between this fight. I think if it was a 3 rounder, I would 1000% back Gamrot. Um, but man, I'm torn. I don't know if I can really make a pick here. Gamrot did show much improved striking in his last fight against Ludovic Klein, who was a very underrated 55er. Very good fighter, very good striking, very good grappling as well. In Gamrot, kind of just outworked him and again showed much better hands in that fight. But there's Charles Oliveira is a different level on the feet. He's got absolute clean, picture perfect striking. Does get cracked a lot, but from a lot better strikers than Mateus Gamrot. Um, if you had a gun to my head, I have to make a pick. Probably leaning Gamrot here, just because Oliveira has shown multiple times in his career when he fights offensive wrestlers that have very good, submission defense, which Gamrot has. He has lost against Arman, against Islam. I mean, he folded against Islam, straight up just got submitted. Chandler gave him some problems. That was a 5 round war. Mateus Gamrot is levels above Michael Chandler when it comes to grappling. So if you had a gun to my head, I love Charles, but I'd probably have to lean Gamrot, edging him in a decision. I think this fight is razor close, though. I think this is an absolute, very, very, very tight fight, similar to Arman versus Charles. Very, very, very similar look to it. But I would lean Gamrot in winning a decision. But I would not be shocked at all if Charles finds the finish. That's really his path to victory here.
And that's going to do it for the UFC Rio breakdown. If you made it this far, I appreciate you for the support. Be sure to subscribe and drop a like on the video. Greatly appreciate it. It helps out a lot. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll be back for the next event.